Everyone. I just wanted to do a little video about what I've been up to the last couple of days. I'm still not quite used to these kind of face on, me talking lots videos, but it's an important subject and I thought I should do a little video about it. So, last couple of days I've done a suicide intervention training course with York Mind, and it's been a heavy couple of days, but a really valuable experience. I've really enjoyed it, and it hasn't made me into some kind of expert or guru. I'm not expecting people to suddenly come to me over anybody else for that matter, but it has given me a few tools and tips and bits of information that I think will come in handy, and I thought I should share with you. So, um, first of all, some statistics which are obviously hard to measure in that subject for obvious reasons. But um, in 2018, 6,500 people in the UK took their own lives. Um, it's two-thirds of those people were men. You're three times more likely to take your own life if you're male. Um, it's still the leading cause of death in the UK for males between the ages of 20 and 49. Um, it's a huge issue that we still don't talk about a great deal. And I know we're doing better at it, but we've all got our own experiences of it, whether that be knowing somebody who's chosen to take their own life, or knowing somebody who's been bereaved by somebody else who's done that, or even just seeing it on social media. People like Chester Bennington, Caroline Flack, people in the public eye whose suicides will have a ripple effect and a knock-on effect on people who engage with the media in that way. So yeah, we all have our own experience, and I suppose it's then um, talking about it and understanding it a little bit more. So the training was mostly common sense, really. It was kind of how to recognise the signs, how to make sure that we don't trivialise or ignore them, or try to divert attention away from them, but face it head on. 70 to 80% of people, again, it's hard for those sort of stats to be measured, but they think somewhere between 70 and 80% of people who take their own lives or who are suicidal will exhibit some signs. Signs could be things like, you know, saying things like, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore, I'm done. Um, Stuff that may be said by somebody who's just absolutely stressed and at the end of their tether that day, and means I'm done here, I'm done for now, and doesn't mean something final, but it might, and so there's no harm in asking. And behaviour changes could be things like um, not looking after yourself anymore, being late when normally you're punctual, becoming withdrawn when you've normally been sort of outgoing, um, suddenly seeming particularly happy and having clarity when you've spent quite a bit of time not being. There's all sorts of things, but gut instinct is usually, it's something that we've all got, and we can all sense when something's not quite right. So as other fellow humans, we can be there to try and spot those signs and engage with them as best we can. So the biggest myth that came out of the training was that asking outright, being forthright about suicide, will not make things any worse. It will not put ideas into people's heads. It's If anything, it will validate and give the right amount of seriousness to that subject, to that person. And there's absolutely no evidence that you're going to put an idea in someone's head by saying, "Are you thinking about suicide?" We shouldn't be saying things like, "Please tell me you're not going to do something silly." I mean, for two reasons. First of all, "Please tell me you're not going to," frames the conversation how we want it to go, because we don't subconsciously we don't want to hear that somebody else is feeling like that. It's a perfectly natural thing to say, but it's not a natural thing for someone in that position to hear. Um, please tell me you're not going to do something silly. Second of all, something silly trivializes something that's the biggest thing that this human being's probably ever going to go through. Um, it's not silly; it's hugely serious. But it's a natural thing to say. It's something that I've heard said before. It's something that I've seen said before on TV. It's something that feels natural to say because you want it to not be real. But there's other things too. Things like, what about your family? Think about your friends. You've got people who love you. All those things are very human things to say to somebody else who's suffering, and they're very true. The effect that suicide can have on family members is absolutely profound, and friends. But those people are probably in a desperate place where they feel that they're a burden on others, and so adding that extra level of guilt to that person is never going to be what they need at that time. And so it's about trying to be present and hear what they've got to say and ask, and ask outright. Are you thinking about suicide? It's not a dirty word. It's a difficult word, and I think that part of this training is supposed to help us practice saying it, asking it, meaning it, being prepared for whatever answer comes without trying to be judgmental about what the answer is. So ask outright and be be there for the answer. You don't have to do anything. Listen to the person's story. It might be the first time that they've ever had a chance to actually explain what they're thinking. So not only is it giving that person that space to do that, validates them and gives them the opportunity to put it into their own words. And sometimes that in itself has its own power. Articulating the way that you feel can change it. It can put it out there, and it can give you an opportunity to interact with it in a different way than if it's just bouncing around in your head. And then yeah, from a suicide safety point of view, then it would be trying to connect that person to life. If they're giving out signs, if they're having conversations, if they're unsure, if there's things that are stopping them from having done it, then they haven't made their mind up yet. It's highly likely that there's a possibility that there's something for them to live for, and it's about trying to connect them with that and keep them safe, and pass them to someone who can help to take things forward for them. So yeah, it's been a pretty intense couple of days, but I just wanted to really make a pledge to use the sort of small influence I've got, the circles I've got inside and outside of my professional employment and my small business and my friends and families, to just pledge that I'm here. Your life is of value to me, whether you're my best friend or somebody who I barely know or a complete stranger. That your life is of value. There are people out there who are dedicating time, training to try and be there so that you can talk to them. It is not a dirty word. Suicide is not something to be ashamed of or guilty. As human beings, it's a natural part of our life to think about our mortality. And when you're going through difficult times, you are bound to have fleeting thoughts like that at some point in your life. We're all highly likely to feel like that at some time. So you can talk to me, but if not me, then talk to someone. York Mind, if you're in York, then York Mind is an amazing resource. They have a huge amount of support and things that you can do with them to try and improve your mental health and your situation. So yeah, talk about it, say it, and let's try and reduce the stigma between us. All right, thank you.